terms of magnitude, I think it would not be an overstatement to say we ain't seen nothing yet. And this is based on, kind of the full program of tariffs that President Trump has discussed on the campaign trail. So if we consider him 10 to 20% on exports from all sources, except for 60% on China, we're seeing a tariff coverage that's 10 times the magnitude of the first trade war. And the tariff rates are much higher.
Yeah, yes, we have some. Let me see what I have. Give me 1 second.
Mexico. Yeah, and they are going to they're building a factory in. If 60% will happen, that is a major devastating to the industry in total. It's a major thing. It will end up in the neighborhood, I would assume, most probably a 20% or 25% increase in the cost, and it have to be absorbed somehow, and it's got to be absorbed by in that case majority of it by the consumer.
The fact that you just said that we usually really nice and smooth. Like, who says that though? Let me just look around and see.
We deal with over 450 manufacturers and wholesalers. I mean, I can tell you that what I remember, maybe 2 or 3 or 5 of that are manufactured in America.
Hello.
Sectors that would be hit the hardest if we place 60% tariffs on China would certainly, at the top of the list, would be electronics, simply because they were lightly taxed in the first round, and the amount that we import from China is so large. And so you have this very large share you're purchasing that's going to be hit with a very large tax. But there's many other categories as well. Auto parts, for example, and some American retailers have already said they're going to pass those costs on to American consumers. Clearly, chemicals, pharmaceutical active ingredients, consumer goods, home goods, shoes, toys, sporting goods, all of these would be hit very hard.
We live and die by the cost sheet, which means how much does it cost to make a jacket, a fine tailored jacket. And when we look at manufacturing inputs, there are 2 main inputs. The first input is labor. The second input is materials. 70% of what we make here is labor. 30% is material. So when we look at an import tax, we're looking at leveling the playing field for us, where our labor means more than our materials. And for any industry where labor is the larger component, you're going to look at a favorable disposition towards tariffs. We export $10 billion worth of apparel and textile. 80% of that is specialized. So what is 10 billion going to shrink down to 9 billion with retaliatory tariffs? I don't think so. We have much greater opportunity to increase our share of the U.S. market through tariffs. Right now in the United States, we make less than 3% of all the clothes that are consumed in the United States. Let's grow 3% to 6%. Tariffs help us do that.
For the US economy, exports are important but not that important in driving growth, as is the case for most other countries. So a trade war based on tariff escalation would hurt other countries a great deal more than the US. So I suspect that other countries will try to strike a bargain with Trump. So what Trump is trying to do is make sure that he can impose tariffs on China and other US trading partners without going through the process of getting congressional approval, and also trying to set things up so that the tariffs, when they are imposed, if they are imposed, do not run afoul of World Trade Organization regulations. So a declaration of this sort would essentially suggest that the tariffs are being imposed for national security reasons, which would exempt them from World Trade Organization regulations prohibiting the use of tariffs for purely economic purposes.